Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and we got ourselves, it's 11-11 Schlegs. It's a Monday. It's exciting. Buckeyes beat Purdue 45-0. Pretty nice little victory right there, and maybe started a little slow. Only had 4 possessions in the first half. Buckeyes score on 3 of them. So pretty talented deals. I'm trying to find my phone, Schlegs. I don't even know where anything's at anymore. It's a hectic Monday. I'm all over the place and scrambling around to try to get some things taken care of. But that's neither here nor there. But I want to tell you this. I want to make sure that we thank all of the veterans out there. It is Veterans Day. And thank all of the veterans out there, those who have served, those who are currently serving, family members of those who have served or those that are currently serving. We really appreciate all of the wonderful sacrifices that you make so we can enjoy the great freedoms and liberties and get a chance to talk, Schlegs, really about college football and everything else. Like that's tremendous. We're getting a chance to do some things that are very special that we get to do in this country where, and let's face it, in a lot of other places, maybe you're not afforded those same freedoms and liberties, but here you are. And so, you know what, we're able to do that. And I'd like to thank you, Schlegs. You are a veteran, even though you don't like to admit it, but you are a veteran as well. So thank you for your commitment to our country. Thank you for what you were able to do while you were at the U.S. Air Force Academy and at the prep school. Thank you to my father-in-law who served in Vietnam as well. A number of family members that are out there that have served. So Schlegs, just want to make sure we appreciate it and thank you on this fine Veterans Day. If you have anyone you'd like to thank or anything you'd like to throw out there, sir, the floor is yours.
Oh, no, my Uncle Dennis served. All of my grandpas and their brothers all served. All my buddies that went to the Air Force Academy served. I mean, it did some crazy things. There's a guy here, good friend of mine, Alec Messerall from Johnstown area, Northridge High School, Alexandria, Ohio. Absolute stud. You know, we work with the ROTC, and those guys, those men and women are going to become officers should they choose to do that after college. And, you know, I've been around a lot of people that have served and are currently serving. So what they do for our country, one, it should be every day is Veterans Day. So you always should be able to think about that and have an attitude of gratitude that we do get to do the things that we do because of them. So thank you, Bob, for that. Man, what a great weekend that we get to talk about here.
Absolutely. I'd also thank 2 of my uncles that served as well, my Uncle Winnie and Uncle Herman. So great job out of them. We really appreciate that, Schlegs. We thank all those fine men and women that have served and handling all that. All right, Schlegs, we've got a fantastic game. We had a fantastic, really enjoyable weekend of college football games. I think we're starting to get to a point where it's a little bit of separation weekend for contenders, pretenders, trying to figure out what people are. There's teams that have played 10 games, some that have played 9, but we have a pretty large body of work now of figuring out what teams are, what they've looked like, what they can do well. And some teams that have been playing with their food a little bit finally got caught. There's some teams that we thought would get eliminated that probably haven't. The Big Ten, I think, is poised to be able to get 4 teams in to the CFP now, unless something crazy happens down the stretch. But I think they're going to get 4, and I think the SEC gets 4. But the Big Ten, you kind of know who they are. The SEC, I think we have no clue of who it could be, and it looks like the Big 12 and ACC are just going to be one big leagues. But as you look at this Buckeye game, Schlegs, we're going to have Lathan Ransom on as well, our guy who is joining us, had another interception, playing really, really well, great leader for the Ohio State Buckeyes and doing a great job on playing safety. But kind of your initial thoughts, Schlegs, coming out of this game. It's how it was supposed to look, but anything that you saw in there particularly that exciting for you?
Yeah, I mean, Bob, a lot of the things I go back to what we both talked about, run the football, they did that. You talked about leadership, playing hard, setting the tone, right? Not necessarily waiting on the crowd to bring you the juice. I thought our guys did that. We saw the special team step up with Caden Curry, another guy that you got to think about, like, hey, man, this every time, Juicy J style, every time he goes out, he shows out, man. That guy reminds me of a 2024 version of a John Simon. That's just kind of what he is. Probably more athletic than John per se, but just an unbelievable motor. I love everything that he does. The defense to be able to go out, and I know we'll bring in more of these stats, Bob, but pitch another shutout, the second shutout of the year, though they missed 2 field goals. Hey, guess what? Charge it to win it. It still matters. They scored 0 points on this defense. I think the tight end's blocking really good. And again, 2 guys that we've mentioned, like last week, you had Jelani Thurman, who has that 4th down completion, right, where Ryan's heart stopped beating for approximately 6 minutes during that reception. But then on the 4th down, makes a really good block there on the goal line to get Will a touchdown. And G. Scott and the tight ends blocking really, 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 really well. The D-line rotation, again, you saw Edric Houston get his first start. Also, personal foul. Guess what? Charges to winning sometimes. Great lesson learned. But a young guy,
I thought we wanted more guys fighting and playing just crazy, reckless abandon, out of control. Is that?
Yeah, but
That's what we want.
People
no, fighting on the sideline.
That's not what we want, right? But again, like I wasn't even really. He got one of those, but I was looking more at his tackles and his production. You know, and you're starting to see growth from the interior depth that we have. And as we get in the weeds and talk about all these other teams, that depth, that recruiting matters, especially now that you're going into the latter part of November and into the college football playoff. It really does matter. So anyways, great day. J.J. Smith, Jeremiah Smith breaks the all-time record, all 3 of them from Chris Carter. That was 40 years. And then you see our guys, and we get to talk to Lathan about this, but him and Caleb back there, man, like that is a very, very, very elite safety tandem, guys. I'm just saying we don't know what we got until it'll eventually be gone, but I enjoy watching those guys. I mean, Caleb fills the whole place to run extremely well. Lathan laid a boomstick on somebody over there on the sideline. Again, as you're watching this as a fan, really fun. You guys did exactly what they needed to do.
And I think that's what we really need to focus on, is the fact that you came in here, you had a list of things. You wanted a clean game. You wanted to see some energy. At least these are my 3 things. Now, you want a clean game. You wanted to see some energy out of everybody and the leadership element to make sure that everybody was ready to go. And a little bit of a slowish start on offense, but that happens sometimes against a team that they're going to pull out some stuff you haven't seen before. And so a little bit slower on offense. And then Ryan talked about it, said we've been working on the special teams too long, too much investment to not have the productivity. And they had it. They had that productivity this week with that Caden Curry punt block. And Caden Curry, all he does is make plays.
He does, man.
He's a guy that you look at him, he may not be like the tallest, the longest, like the most physically gifted dude, but he's a really good athlete. And he's always around the football and always around making plays. And whether that's in training camp, whether that was in spring ball when he got here, he's just a dude that always makes plays. So it was great to see him. We'll get into this, a little bit of the 3-down package that they utilized there. Now, it was later in the game, and it may not have been with like Jack and JT and Tyleek. And obviously, Tyleek, you want to err on the side of caution with him. But, they did have Caden in there. They had Kenyatta, and like guys were trying some new things. So trying to get some of that in, some exploration with a little bit of the 3-down stuff I really liked. And defensively, like they kind of answer all the questions. Now, one of the things they did have is they had a number of missed tackles. Against Penn State, they were locked on with their tackling. Had a number of missed tackles this week. So maybe not as perfect and as flawless as you would like, but you get out of there, you get the win, you have things to work on. And this week against Northwestern seems kind of like 2.0 of, this Purdue game. Go in there, be efficient, be effective, get what you need to get done, get out of there healthy, because you got a couple other big games coming up, which are ultimately going to get into some of the good things in this game. Schlegel, as we talked about, you had, your 3rd downs, you were pretty good. I want to say, what were they as I look at this 3rd down?
5 of 12.
What was it? 5 of 12. And you'd like 50% against Purdue, but you're right there in the high 40s. It was good. And Purdue did not do a great job on 3rd down by any stretch. They were only 3 of 12. So good job, Schlegel. Thanks for getting that there for me. Got a lot of numbers that I'm looking at. I got some things I highlighted, and I did not particularly highlight that. One of the other things that I think is important, though, that we've kind of seen here is Travion Henderson looks explosive. He looks fast. He looks like he still has that breakaway ability. And I don't know if last year at this time or in the past past we've seen that quite to this degree. And that's because I think he was getting more the mother's load of the carries. This year, I think you're beginning to see how much that's paying off with him and Q splitting some of those reps, splitting the carries to where he gets in the open field, like if he busts through the line, he's got one-on-one with the backer. I mean, you're just like, okay, if he makes a miss, it's a 50-yard gain. Like there's nobody that's going to catch him. And I don't know if you just saw that juice. And so he's healthier, he's fast. And I think a lot of that goes to this, load management where, he only had six rushes for 85 yards. Q had 11 for 32 and maybe not quite as impressive as a day. And they're working some gap scheme runs and everything, but pretty darn impressive with those guys and great to see this explosive capabilities from the backfield where in the past, I don't think we'd maybe seen that as much.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And what it does too is the running game sets up for what we saw with Trey. He actually ran a sluggo, motion G, motion out, backer there in man, backer takes him, G comes in for pass pro, boom, slant, go route, touch, or a long 32-yard catch, right? So he also had, 43 yards receiving, but that's kind of the element that is Trevion versus Q, right? And I just think that they're a very, very good pair together. And in those games where, Q can get in there and just like pound the rock physically, he's going to break those. It just didn't happen in the rotation in this game. Guess what? They're probably both like, we're cool with it, right? Like I'm there for my teammate, which is the beauty of their culture. It's the beauty of their room. It goes back to their Coach Locke and everything that he's done with them. So it's been nice. Now you're going into what, week 12, Bob? Or week 11, where these guys they're just finding their groove. And it's just fun to watch because they are healthy and they're able to have those explosive plays. But that goes into the depth, and we'll talk more about like Indiana and some of these other teams. But just where the Buckeyes are right now, doing all the things that you and I both talked about in this show on Friday, I think that they're exactly where they need to be going into this Northwestern week.
Absolutely. Well, one guy who has his groove, Mr. Lathan Ransom, he'll be joining us here in just a couple of moments. Before we get to Ohio State star safety, we've got Export. I want to tell you about that. Parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards. They're trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. The Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits. They protect both your grill and your brain. Export guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including the patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print these things customized to your grill, so better protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15%. Export, protect what matters most. Lathan Ransom up next.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. Now we're here to welcome in our guy, Mr. Lathan Ransom, into the program. Lathan, number of weeks now into the season. Obviously, we've been battling a lot of different stuff. How do you feel like the game went for you? Obviously, you get the interception, but kind of what was the whole experience like there on Saturday?
Yeah, I think what we did as a team was great. When we came in, you look across the country after a big game, emotional game like the week before, it's easy to go in and come out flat or come out the way you didn't want to come out. So we came out fast, executed what we wanted to execute. Got a number of dudes that got into the game, like you was talking about on the D-line, DBs, linebackers, and got a great win. So it was exciting, a lot of fun, a lot of juice, and now we're looking forward to this next week.
Tell everybody about how that, it just doesn't, you just don't get to go on Saturdays and flip a switch and bring the juice, right? Like it's practice. Tell us a little bit about your week. And again, Bob and I have always talked about the leadership. You are that one of those guys on the team. How does that look from that juice and the standard of which we got to play with on Saturday, and how that actually starts on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah, I think leadership plays a huge part in that, especially, we have a lot of dudes that have been here 4 or 5 years, and we know what it's like to win all the games in the whole season and lose at the end. So, and we know what it's like to get into long seasons. Your body's hurt, your mind's hurt, especially freshmen. It's starting to get, these days are getting longer, class getting longer. And you wake up in the morning, it's cold outside. You don't want to go out there and bang at practice all week. But, we've been here and we got a goal, and we're going up there showing out every Tuesday practice, Wednesday practice, excited to practice, excited to play, because we can't take these for granted because they add up. So continuing to do that as the season goes on, not overlooking any team that we play, because have you seen across the country, any team can beat anybody. So we're excited for that big challenge that Northwestern upholds this week. Going to go on with a lot of juice, a lot of energy, and you'll see the silver bullets flying around.
You've been through this a long time, and this is the time of year you start getting in November. You get excited, but also some of the young guys, I think, start worn down a little bit. Those conversations you have, Lathan, with some of the younger players who, you're getting into class, it's getting towards the end of the semester, their high school season's typically wrapping up, and you're looking at this like, okay, we got 3 more weeks, plus hopefully more bonus ball and then playoff stuff on the horizon. Is that stuff that you talk to them to kind of pull them in to make sure that everything's going well?
Oh, yeah, most definitely talk about it. I think Coach Day's done such a great job of, when we got into, I forgot what week it was. Basically, I think week 8, we got into week 8. He's basically saying, if we want to get to where we want to get to, we're halfway through the season. This is only the halfway mark. So I think just keep that embedded in our head, and just knowing that doing everything to stay on top of our bodies, on top of our minds, because it's a long season. 16, if we want to get to our goals, 16 games in a season, that's almost an NFL season now. And, that's longer than any season I've played. So I think, just continuing to do everything I can, take care of our bodies, take care of our minds, and then appreciate it. I always try to tell the young dudes, appreciate every meeting, practice, game that you play, man, because it can be taken away. So I go in there and try to joke around and have as much fun as I can, because I know what it's like to be sitting, looking in from the outside in.
Yeah, you love practice, Lathan, and we see it when you're out there because you appreciate it, and it's fleeting. Bob and I would love to go back and practice, but you get to do it and you understand that. So this is a 2-parter. All right. So I want you to talk about your pick, what you're reading that allowed you to get that pick. And then 2, what was said in the meeting room when Jordan goes in there and gets just absolute flipped, and then also gets half a sack on that. What were you guys joking? I want to hear the banter that went on watching that play.
All right, so I'm actually going to talk about Jordan's first. So first of all, you've been on meetings. One thing one of our sound bites is hot stove, get off the ground. So Jordan, that was a clear example of that. The hot stove, get off the ground, and it was funny. It actually looks like mat drills. If you go back and look at it, when we spin and do the turn in mat drills, and we have to pop up, man, it's exactly what it was, and that just shows he got in there, got flipped, got back up, got a sack, and that's one of the coolest plays I think I've seen. So, that was a great play by Jordan. And then I think on the pick, it's actually funny. Cody called muddle. He thought we thought we were in muddle. And I don't know if you guys know what muddle is. That's when the offense gets in, they just be the center and they split out. Out formation and split across the field. So we didn't see the formation clearly, so we called muddle. So all of us are playing muddle, all the defense are scrambling, but they were lined up in a normal formation. So we it sorted out. It sorted out right. Me and Jordan just went to the 2 high parts, and I passed back the middle seam to Jordan and read the quarterback throwing that wheel route. So it worked out. And then it's funny, people were texting me. They knew I was coming out of the end zone right when I got it. So I tried to make some stuff shake, but I got tackled.
Coach always would say on defense, if you're all wrong, you're right. It's everybody plays the same thing. It may not be ideal, survive the down, and you guys obviously more than that thrived in the down. Lathan, we've had a number, of we got a scoop and score this year. We've had a couple of interceptions, and you've brought them out. What happened to that elite speed? I'm worried. I think we might be getting tackled by some linemen out there.
It was later in the drive. It was long. I don't think a lineman got. I have to go look. It's later in the drive. You know, I'm juking. I'm cutting left. I'm cutting right. I cut across the field too many times, and I got a little tired. I got a little tired. But that lead speed is still there. I promise. It's there. But no, I gotta get a pick six eventually in the season. That's definitely a big goal of mine.
Yeah, hey, listen, I've seen him run. Lathan can run. Hey, Lathan, so then you're coming out. I just want to know, like, when you guys are in there with Coach G and you're watching run fits, and then, like, do they, just Caleb coming down and filling, you're filling, and then you have the boomstick over there on the sideline. Like, do they still give out Hit City T-shirts and swag? Like, what do they do now for a big hit like that over there on the sideline?
Yeah, so that's one thing that I think me and Caleb take a lot of pride in is our open field tackling. I think Caleb does such a great job. And, I don't know if it's because he was a pass running back or what, but he has a great feel for where the runs are going to hit. I think he does a great job of that. Great open field tackling. And then for mine, whenever a quarterback gets to run, you get excited, especially when you see he's not going to slide. So I saw him going to the sideline, and I know I beat him I know he was trying to get out of bounds. I know I beat him to the sideline. So if you get a clean shot on the quarterback, you got to be excited about that. So I definitely took it and, gets the crowd, gets the sideline going, everyone going. And I think that's what me and Caleb continue to do is, take pride in the open field tackling, take pride in big hits. He had one early in the season. So we're excited.
How great was it? You see JT go out there, cause the fumble, Jack scoop that thing up, score. I mean, just when you're making plays like that on defense, number of sacks, interceptions, big hits, like it just seems like that's infectious with everybody on the sideline.
Definitely it is. And like we said before, our goal all season is takeaways and score and get into the end zone. And I think JT's was so funny is because I'm over here taking on a block and the dude's talking to me. Like he's trying to talk trash while it's going on. And I'm laughing. I'm like, bro, we are scoring. Like we're scoring right now. Like, all this is going on. But no, that play was cool. See Jack in the end zone. Jack kind of let me down. He talked about, if he ever got in the end zone, he was gonna dunk it on the goalpost. And I was waiting to see a dunk. So hopefully, maybe next time, I know Coach Dave will get mad, but it'd be funny to see.
Charge it to winning. Hey, so this week, now you're an Arizona guy. Did you follow the Diamondbacks? Because now you're going to go up and play Northwestern at Wrigley. Have they already discussed like what the sidelines are going to be? Like, are you a baseball guy and understand the nostalgic and the history that is Wrigley Field?
I will admit I'm not a big baseball guy. I've been to one baseball game with my aunt actually in San Francisco, the Giants game, and we sat right across from I forgot where we sat. Basically, wherever we sat, they hit a home run. I actually caught a ball. The only baseball game I've been to, I caught a home run, which is I'm very lucky. So I always just claim, I say, if I'm a fan of any baseball team, I'm a Giants fan. It's the only game I've been to. But I have heard a lot of great histories behind Wrigley Field, which we're going to. So I'm excited. And I actually was looking up pictures the other day. I was like, how is the field gonna look? No, I'm excited. I've heard some stories about, Coach G told me he played on a baseball field one time, and they had him on the same sideline.
Yeah.
Before. So I don't know how it's gonna go. I'm excited, play it somewhere so historic, and I get to say I played on a baseball field, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's pretty cool. I think they've got it structured so you guys will be on opposite sidelines. They played Iowa there, I believe, earlier this year. I would encourage you, Lathan, like you'll go back and watch the film, but watch the guys. Like they had turf issues, and anytime you cover the diamond, it's never going to be as good, especially in the north. And so for guys on the back end, like you slip a defensive line, it's not the biggest deal. You slip on the back end, to me, it's a huge deal. So that's one of the things that I don't know how much Walt and G will talk to you guys about that. But the turf, like the how secure it is, I don't think it's maybe the best situation. So that's something to obviously be aware of.
You told me that because, like you said, it's funny. If a DB slips, it's a touchdown. If a line slips, don't matter. And I promise that if there's a touchdown for some reason, someone slipping or nothing, they're blaming the DB. So I'm definitely going to make sure that we have the best cleats and do everything we can, to prevent that.
Well, one of the other pieces with that, you guys haven't given up a touchdown here in a couple of weeks. I mean, is that something that's starting to be talked about now in the defensive meeting room?
Yeah, most definitely. I think being here for so long, shutouts are not come easy. I think this is the first year that we've had, 2 shutouts since I've been here. So constantly doing everything we can to, get a shutout. And then red zone defense. That's something that we talk about a lot, red zone defense. And I think that's something that we've definitely improved from last year, and we'll continue to do that with a couple goal line stops, some big red zone stops. Because I think red zone defense and third down defense are two of the most important. I mean, there's obviously others, but two of the most important situations that we go over. So we're going to continue to, shine those up and be ready for these next teams.
Schlegel just muted. He muted himself. Come on.
I didn't mute myself. Well,
Get
because I
together.
just didn't want to cough on the air. But I was thinking, I think that's something that people need to know, Lathan. It's the mindset of being a great red zone defense. And you already said, if you give us an inch, we're going to protect it. But it's also getting off the field on third down, which you guys have been more successful at, because that's another opportunity to give the offense the ball, right? So, but then also not allowing teams to score, holding teams to field goals. How is that mindset articulated throughout the week in practice to be able to go there and do that in the game?
I think just leadership, and our coaches just implemented into us is that, there's so many mood swings, especially being on a defense, is that there's a lot of defense. You get in that red zone, they're already accepting that, they're going to get points and get scored. No, we're doing everything we can to scratch, claw, and make sure that they don't get in the end zone, that they don't get a field goal. Like, even when you say the starters are out and we got the second string in or some of the third guys in, man, we're just as serious as do not let them get in the end zone. It don't matter who's on the field. You guys have that one responsibility. Do not let them score, hold them to a shutout, do everything we can, because it matters. It matters to us. It matters to defense. We have standards to uphold, and we will continue to do everything we can to uphold them.
All right. Got two things. Number one, before we get you out of here, Lathan, we appreciate everything, always the time this week. It has been confirmed you did break the tackle on the offensive lineman, and then you did get taken down by a receiver. So that's good. That goes to guys in your room. I mean, number one, you block the quarterback. Number two, you always block the intended. So I don't know if it was the intended receiver that turned around and got you, but we got to block those guys in the back end. So that's the guys in your room taking care of that. And then also, like, when you battle injuries, people always talk to folks, like, when guys get hurt during the season, just because they're playing, it doesn't mean they're well. Like, so every week is always kind of a battle to get back to game day, because that injury doesn't go away. It needs rest, and you don't get rest till after the season. But what has your protocol been like trying to go through this since you got nicked up a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, so luckily, like you said, it's funny that everything you said is completely 100% true. Luckily, I've been blessed to be around Stu, Sean, basically the best training staff there is to offer, the best in the country. And then there's one, to being through injury and stuff, I always kind of tell myself and remind myself is, nobody cares. The game doesn't care. If I'm going into the game and I'm going to play, it don't matter how much I'm hurt. It don't matter how much I'm sore. I put the helmet on, I go through the pass. There's no excuses. And my game and my play can't change. So it's more, for me, it's a mental game. It's just basically always telling myself that, I'm on that field. I'm expected to play at the highest level. So I continue to do that no matter how I'm feeling. Every day, Coach Rose asked me, they ask us on how our sleep scores and how we're feeling. It's 5-5s every day, no matter what. I tell him 5-5.
That's true.
And he knows that. So, but like you said, I do such a great job of having a routine. Continue to stay on top of my body, continue to work with Stu so that I feel as best as I feel. Shoot 100%. If anyone asks, I feel 100%. So when I step on that field, I feel 100%. I'm ready to go. Well,
it's a mindset, Lathan. We appreciate your mindset, man. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Keep getting healthy, get healed up. I don't know what we got. What do we have in the bank? Are we watching any shows today?
If you guys are watching The Penguin, the finale came out last night. I stayed up and watched it. Man, was that a finale. I hope that you guys watch it, because that was, to me, just for being one season, that's one of the best shows I've watched in a whole.
Okay.
Yes. True. True statement.
Okay. If you guys are selling me on it, I might have to dive into The Penguin then. I mean, I didn't know if I could watch it. It seemed a little weird, but if you're both telling me it's must see, I'll get into that. So hopefully you get some rest, get healed up, and we'll talk soon. All right, Lathan?
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. He's Lathan Ransom, one of our favorites. Does a great job, obviously playing safety at Ohio State. One of the next questions next week, so you're going to have to write this down. So I was curious, like, how similar the three interior spots are that him, Jordan, and Caleb play, and how they kind of go about managing that, and some of the different setups and locations that they have to be on the field. So we'll get into all that, but we got more Buckeye talk. Tons of stuff coming to you. Still got our headlines, still got tailgate talk, the real truck coming at you all here in a little bit, but more game breakdown here coming up next.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like. I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink garage beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
All right, Schlegel. Great job there by Lathan Ransom, one of our favorites. Want to bring up this. I mean, you said you want to get into some of the other games that went on. I mean, it was a rough, rugged weekend, and this is the first time in the AP history that 4 Big Ten teams are now ranked in the top 5, with Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Indiana, with Texas being sandwiched in there at 3rd with 2 above and 2 below. So pretty darn great deal for the Buckeyes. But some of these teams got knocked off. Miami had been playing with their food strikes. It finally caught up to them against Georgia Tech. And I've been telling people this all the time. Like, Miami hadn't really played anybody. They score a lot of points. But I was like, I don't think they're that much better than Indiana, if really at all. And I think Saturday proved that. And then they might have the worst in-game time management coach ever in Mario Cristobal, who called they were losing. Georgia Tech is punting.
Yes.
It is 4th down. They come out of the 2-minute warning, 2-minute timeout. And I joked about this, and I didn't even want to be right. Like, some of these coaches are going to screw stuff up coming out of the 2-minute timeout because they're not used to it. And they burned a timeout on like a 3rd and 12, and it didn't end up mattering because Georgia Tech ended up getting a first down. They could slide out anyway. But if they would have needed that first down, that timeout to be able to burn them to get the ball back or to score, it would have been the coaching malpractice. I do not know what Mario Cristobal is doing out there. It is the most ridiculous thing in the world. You're coming out of a timeout. They are punting. How could you possibly not be prepared for that play?
And then we saw with Sharon Moore too, right? And they were talking about it all over the cast. And, you know, I think with we saw this in the Oregon game, and you see this also in the league, Bob. I think the difference in coaching in the NFL and in college football and where it is with this, you would have thought a lot more of these coaches would have gotten in the weeds of a 2-minute timeout and even just the rules. Like, you know how it is, Bob. Like, there's a guy on staff that literally goes through rules and scenarios that popped up the previous week. So everybody knows ball. Like, everybody's understanding when you got to take a timeout, or how long does it take to even do a play? Is it even feasible to run a play here? You got to have 16 seconds to be able to spike the ball, right? Like, run up and spike the ball for another down. What do you got to do, if you only got 10 seconds on the clock? Like, here's what you have to do offensively. Hurry up field goal. All these different scenarios. They're educated, they're taught, they're evaluated so that the head coach can go make a decision. There's always probably somebody on the mic with them talking about these things throughout the game. We see a ton of time management issues in college football. This is the 2nd year in a row for this, but let's not negate the fact.
Last year against Georgia Tech, Mario Cristobal failed to be able to do some level of requisite math to know that he did not have to run plays. All he needed to do was take a knee. Now, he didn't fumble the ball. His player did. But they didn't even need to hand it off.
No, and there was another game, I think it was Arizona State, Bob, where they're on their goal line going into half, and they threw the ball, pick 6, something like that. It was something like, I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, just go into half. So there's a lot of these things that are popping up now, but I don't want to take credit away from Georgia Tech, especially, I forgot our guy, I think his name is Mike, anyways, with the neck roll. But guys, one thing about like Georgia Tech or even Boston College, like some of these other teams that I'm just watching, like, they're prepared. They don't have the skill set of the Miami, but they were prepared to play this football game. And they won on 3rd down, they won on 4th down, and they own the time of possession. So as much as heralded as Miami's offense was, they got their yards. They got their yards, but Georgia Tech outrushed them 271-88. That was their game plan. We're just going to out-physical them. Yeah, you got Cam Ward there, but can you handle the physicality of what we're going to bring at home, end up getting the win?
Well, it comes down to that. Sometimes it comes down to time of possession. Like, you can just pound on these teams. And Georgia Tech legs almost 35 minutes to 25 for Miami. Like, we start talking about like how Georgia got beat by Kentucky, like some of these different games. When you see these teams that aren't as talented, and this is what people do to Ohio State, we're not going to give you 10 to 12 possessions a game. We're going to try to give you 8. And in doing that, you're going to feel the pressure and the constriction of having to go make plays, and you're used to scoring a lot and playing fast, which was one of the great things about Ohio State this year is they're one of the slower playing teams. And then you'll see it. They'll go, 6 plays in 2 minutes. It's 75 yards for a touchdown, but they're pretty methodical with what they do. So the ability to play both fast and slow cannot be underestimated with when you're trying to prepare and understanding the different types of games that you're ultimately going to be in.
Yeah, and I would say this, Kentucky lost in that game, but it was close, 13-12.
Close, yeah.
Yeah, but it was really close, but that's what they did.
Kentucky beat Ole Miss, that's what they did. They had the ball for almost 40 minutes. That's what it was.
I think it was back-to-back weeks there, Bob. And so they knew the game plan. And here's the other thing, too. There's a couple of things. When I'm watching ball, Ohio State had a really good 2-minute drill there at the end of the first half. Like, awesome. Like, way to go. Those are the things that you're looking at. We had a 4-minute drill to end the game, right, with the defense having a goal line stand and coming out of your end zone, 11 plays, 5-13, book a set. Boom, 2-minute drill. Like, yeah, it wasn't super clean all the way through in this game versus Purdue, because I'm not saying that's what Ryan said. But that being said, there's also some really good things in that 2-minute. And then you saw, Alabama just absolutely beat down at LSU. You saw, Georgia just get dismantled by Ole Miss at Ole Miss. And then the Indiana game, Bob, there's some stuff in that game from the Indiana-Michigan game.
Right. You mean that Sharon Moore let 30 seconds went off and then chose to call a timeout?
Yeah, but even just more than that, like, there's a recipe there. And I think that's what I'm happy that Indiana is ranked. And that's everybody's like down kind of on Indiana a little bit because that was their lowest scoring game that they had all season, followed up because they had their lowest scoring game the week before. But you know what? They're still 10-0. Like, they found a way to win. I think sometimes people are just looking for perfection when perfection's never going to happen in the game of football. They still won the game, but there is some definitely weak links into that armor that is Indiana. Now they're going on to a bye, but the Buckeyes have them in 2 weeks. Excited for that matchup. Going to be another top 5 matchup in the shoe. Should be really exciting.
Should be very, very exciting. And there's some other big games. Obviously, you look at the SEC, it's a mess. I think in the Big Ten, Schlegs, like, the 4 teams that are going to be getting in, unless something crazy happens. Penn State dispatching of Washington. And James Franklin always seems to do that. After a big loss, always bounces back, beats the teams that he's supposed to beat. Indiana escaping against Michigan. And we'll get into this Indiana, but just real quickly before we go, like, I think we realize that Michigan still has a good D-line. They can still run the ball pretty effectively. They cannot throw it to save their lives. They did throw it some against Indiana, however. But I think you look at Indiana, they've got a bunch of really good football players, but not a lot of draftable NFL talent. And so if you can get those guys in situations where they're forced to be athletes and forced to go athlete for athlete, that's when you can take advantage of Indiana. And Michigan was able to do that some because despite Michigan not being as good, because they don't execute nearly as well and they can't throw the ball worth a darn, they still have better players. So there's a lot of things obviously that go into play for that. But Indiana executes. They're going to force you to beat them. They're going to get after you with pressure. Like, they'll take some shots, run some back shoulders down the field. It'll be a big game for the defensive backs. But now they've got a bye. So they're going to be sitting here watching Purdue, cooking up stuff in the lab. And I'll say this, Kirk Cignetti, he is not for the faint of heart. He is a guy that likes to be ultra aggressive, and he is unapologetic about it. All right, we'll put a little pin in that. We got headlines, a lot of big headlines coming out of this Ohio State game coming up next. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Bobby Carpenter. I want to give a huge thank you and a shout out to Affinity Whole Health, the leaders in the testosterone replacement industry. I've been on a testosterone replacement program for a few years right now, and I've got to tell you, it's been an absolute game changer. Affinity Whole Health has allowed me to be the best version of myself, both mentally and physically. I loved how easy it was to get started. I booked my free consultation, met with my prescriber, checked my numbers, and Affinity Whole Health designed a program that was customized to fit my needs. So I'm telling you guys, if you have low energy, you want to get rid of that spare tire around the waist or take it to the next level in the bedroom, Affinity Whole Health is the place to get started. So don't wait any longer. 5 minutes of your time, book your free consultation. You're going to love the way you feel. I want to tell you about my friends over at Affinity Whole Health. Their headlines, they offer personalized treatment plans to help you feel better, whether you're struggling with weight loss, low energy, muscle loss, poor sleep. Check. They can check all those boxes and help you with them. Affinity Whole Health provides expert guidance to help you safely reach your health goals. They've got semaglutide for weight loss. They've got hormone replacement programs. You can pair those together. Here's what you do. You go to affinityWholeHealth.com. You set up your free consultation. You're going to go in there. They're going to work some labs up. They're going to figure out a program that fits your needs the best. Poof, David Copperfield, you go home, and all of a sudden, 2 days later, all your stuff's at your door. No need to go back in the office for treatment. They'll take care of you. Folks, it's already mid-November. Don't say, hey, I'm going to start it in January. Forget wait until January. Do it today. Go check them out. That way you'll be on the ground running when the New Year's hits, and you'll be feeling good, and you'll be ahead of everybody else. All right. Talk a little bit about some of the headlines. We'll start off with our guy, Mr. Seth McLaughlin, Schlegel. One of the great dudes you're going to find, does a tremendous job. I don't know if you found this, if I found this, where it came. But this is the run the damn ball hats. Where is your run the damn ball hat, by the way, Schlegel?
It's in my suitcase right here. I should have put it on. Sorry.
You didn't unpack? You're telling me you flew back and you haven't unpacked yet?
No.
That's terrible, buddy. Listen, it drives me nuts. My kids.
I live in two places. Like I got all the stuff I got.
Doesn't matter. So I was going to ESPN every week. I would take my stuff out, boom, get it all set up. I don't like to go to bed with a full suitcase sitting on the ground. Never.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about this. This is great content because here's the thing. I only carry my DOP kit, but I already got stuff here. I shouldn't even take my DOP kit.
Yeah, why are you bringing it?
I honestly, I don't even know. You know what? I bring a suitcase just in case I need to bring some stuff back. So I brought back a pair of sweatpants so I could train in them. Because sometimes people are like, well, why are you wearing work pants every single day? I'm just like, no, I got some sweatpants in there. And then I bring my bands. So when I squat or whatever in my home gym, I got my bands from Westside in there that are fantastic, by the way, side nugget. So when I travel, I literally travel with my weightlifting belt because it's my favorite, and my bands for dynamic effort squat, and then like maybe a DOP kit. And that's it. And I'll put some files and stuff so my backpack's not weighted down. I'll leave them in there. So I haven't even had to bring those out yet because I've been doing other work. Okay.
Quit bringing the DOP kit. Like when you have stuff, that's one of the great things about having.
I won't bring it. But you know what? I got my good pair of tweezers in there. And my good
buy a second. You know what? For Christmas, I'm going to get you a second set. We're going to keep it down there.
Stocking stuffer.
It's a great stocking stuffer. Our guy, Seth McLaughlin, if you want to throw this up here, Pat, the holiday season, selling the Run the Damn Ball hats, donating 100% of the proceeds to charity. Get yours today, folks. Please go check in there. He said, if you wish to donate this cause but do not want to buy a hat, here's the link to do so. Also want to thank everyone so much for helping out with this project. Nearing $10,000 raised to help feed Columbus, Ohio families. Hats are going fast. Like this is the best part of NIL.
Yeah.
Like, this is the good stuff. When you have great dudes like this, they get a hold of something. People want to support it. You talked about it last week. Poof, David Copperfield. Get in there. Go buy the hats. Go support them. If you want to donate, listen, it's going to charity. 100%. Like he's not lying about that. All that money is going to feed folks in Columbus. All right, let's get one more here before we go. Let's get the defense.
Oh, yeah.
OSU.
Do that one.
Well, because it's tremendous. Everybody loves it. And pitching shutouts is awesome. And this Ohio State defense now has not allowed an offensive touchdown in 128 minutes of game action. Like that's unbelievable. Because you think Penn State, the pick six was the only score. Shutout against Purdue. End of the game against Nebraska, they were able to get the stops that they needed to. Like, it's been a while, and everybody lamented that Nebraska game, and they have been on point. And like Lathan said, Schlegs, their red zone defense is one of the best. I was just looking around earlier and like kind of poking through, and like I go in that NCAA, I was like, hey, okay, let's see what we got, like red zone offense, red zone defense, and just kind of throw some stuff up. Ohio State is second in red zone defense. 19 opportunities in there, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, 5 field goals. So out of 19, only 6 have resulted in touchdowns. Like, that's around 42%, which is unbelievable. Conversely, the offense is like phenomenal with it. So we'll get into more of that. We got more headlines. We'll get into some tailgate talk next. And we tell you every week about our guy, Ben Scott Stevens. He's trying to help you win some money. We'll tell you what he did here next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
Building a home for the people who are worth it. Stepping out, throwing in a line, and dropping the tailgate for a picnic. And finding far-off campsites with the people you're closest to. Upgrade your truck, Jeep, or Bronco with over 1 million parts and accessories and bring your truck to life. Real Truck.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
All right, now we're to our headlines, brought to you by our friends over at Real Truck. Real Truck, they're making loyal listeners now through the end of the year, making an awesome offer. If you're looking for a truck, Jeep, or Bronco accessories, go to realtruck.com. They will make your truck, Jeep, Bronco fantastic. Like I said, they've done it to my truck, Schlegel truck, my Jeep. We've got accessories for all of it. So you go to realtruck.com, super easy. If you spend $100 or more, you go to checkout and use promo code Bobby. They're giving you a free Real Truck hat. So you get some goodies and you get a gift. It's the giving season. We're almost at Thanksgiving or getting into Christmas. Realtruck.com. Bring your truck to life like we did. Interior, exterior, Jeep, Bronco as well. It's all there. Realtruck.com. $100. Promo code Bobby, and you get a free hat. All right, Schlegs, we're going to our guy, Ben Scott Stevens, because he's been trying to tell the folks. Every Thursday we have him on, and he'll give you what you need. He comes out here and he said, listen, what are the bets? What is your favorite bet that you want this week? We told him, if you want to throw that up there, Pat, we told the folks, listen, Ben likes Jalen Milroe's over on the rushing prop, 48.5 yards, Schlegs. That's it, not even 50. And he's right there saying, listen, don't even worry. He wasn't confident about Alabama on the spread. Nobody's perfect. But if you do care about the line for Milroe's still running, Schlegs. He ran from Baton Rouge back to Tuscaloosa. No one tackled him.
Hey, and the reason why the 2.5 point spread was just their success in night games. And then the LSU just came out and was just like not prepared. I mean, it was crazy. You thought they would have been up for that game, but hard to be up for a game when you just got a quarterback that rushes 12 times for 185 yards. I feel pretty down too. Anyway, that's what Ben Scott Stevens does. He will come in here and he will blow your mind. And even if you took Alabama, look at that. You're winning even more money.
It's like they didn't know that Jalen Milroe ran the ball. Like, I understand with Texas A&M and Marcel Reed comes in, you go to a backup quarterback. But I thought for sure, I'm like, you give them a week. They know they're going to prepare. They played him before. It is wild. Ben Scott Stevens trying to make you money. You got to listen to him, folks. That's Tailgate Talk for today, brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. Coming up next, our guy Anthony Schlegel is going to wrap up the Bobby Carpenter Show.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like. I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
Final segment here of the show, Schlegs. You got about 30 seconds. Give us your parting thoughts on this one.
Parting thoughts are this, very simple. Actually, there's two. One, I didn't know that Ashton Genty went to Frisco Lone Star, who's coached by one of my good childhood friends, Jeff Rayburn, awesome coach there at Frisco. I didn't know that. I saw that on the ESPN machine. And then two, I love it that in 2024, you have Indiana sitting there with 93% to make the college football playoff above Ohio State because they got a bye, they got OSU, and they got Purdue. So at most, one loss. Pretty cool because of how everything's going down in the world of NIL transfer portal that you can have a team like Indiana up there.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, they're not going to lose too. I mean, the old Oaken bucket is theirs for the taking, Schlegs, to say the least. Well, that's it for today's show. Tomorrow I'll have Bill Bender on, get into that a little more, talk some big landscape stuff. Ohio State, one more game against Northwestern before they've got a nice little 2-pack to finish out the season at home. Stay tuned. Locked in tomorrow, 12:30, live, Bobby Carpenter Show.